It is time for part 2 of our spring football previews. This time, we're taking a look at the East Division. We're going to start our East Division spring football previews with the defending East Division champions. And I have a simple question. Is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen 2 games in? Is it going to happen 3, 4, 5 games in? It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And that's JJ McCarthy taking over the full-time quarterback role. We saw flashes of brilliance when he came in, running packages, a couple of certain passing situations as well. And you can tell the talent that JJ McCarthy possesses at the quarterback position. There were certain times last season when Cade McNamara just wasn't enough. He was a serviceable quarterback. I think the stout players on the defensive side of the ball really helped. They had some playmakers, especially in the running game. Hassan Haskins, Blake Corum in the running game that really helped out Cade McNamara. But if you want a real playmaker at quarterback, you're going to put in JJ McCarthy. And big question for Michigan in spring football. Is JJ McCarthy going to show enough? Is he going to be head and shoulders above everybody else at the quarterback position to make him the full-time starting quarterback by the time spring is done? That's what we want to know in maize and blue camp. I think he is. I think he's already there. I think there were times last year where I'm like, you need JJ in there. He can make a couple of more plays and throws that Cade McNamara cannot make. Let's move on in the East Division with Ohio State. Can the defense catch up? That's going to be the question. They've recruited well on the defensive side of the ball. Last year, their defense was really hanging behind their offense, especially in the beginning of part of the season, especially against the run. They were replacing a lot of the defensive line. That's what I want to know. Can those young guys catch up? That's the thing. They were young up front. There was a lot of youth up front. Now, in spring ball, and they've had a season, spring football, can they catch up to that offense? Because, man, that offense is going to be good. Stroud, Henderson, Smith, and Jigba, it's going to be probably one of the best offenses that we've seen at Ohio State. So my big question in spring, can Ohio State's defense catch up and match Ohio State's offense? If they can, by the time the season starts in September, this could be a dangerous national championship contending Ohio State football team. Let's move on to Michigan State. Can lightning strike twice in the transfer portal? Okay, they did it again. And here's some names to keep an eye on. Okay, let's start first with Jalen Berger, a former 4-star high school recruit. He was top 150 kid in the nation a few years back. Jalen Berger originally went to Wisconsin. Rubbed Paul Chryst the wrong way. Things didn't work out. Eventually, he was dismissed from the team, entered the transfer portal, and now he's at Michigan State. This kid is a talented kid. You watch this kid on film, and he can run downhill, and he can run hard. Kenneth Walker leaves, you bring in another transfer. I think Jalen Berger is a guy behind that offensive line in this offense that could be big. Daniel Barker, he's a transfer. He was a starting tight end at Illinois last year. He comes in. He's going to be a big part of that offense. He's going to be another threat in that passing game. I think Michigan State creating a lot of balance. 24/7 Sports has them as the top transfer recruiting class in the Big Ten this season. And once again, Mel Tucker does it. I think those 2 transfers and their whole transfer class is going to keep them in the hunt in the East Division race. But the questions for spring football is how well those guys are going to match into the current system. Is Jalen far and away? Is he the guy at running back? Is Daniel Barker going to fit into the passing game? That's what we want to know. Worked out pretty well last year. We'll see if lightning can strike twice in East Lansing. Who is going to replace Jahan Dotson's production at Penn State? That's what I want to know here in spring ball. You got Parker Washington, Keandre Lambert-Smith are 2 guys currently on the roster. But one guy to keep an eye out for is Western Kentucky transfer Mitchell Tinsley. James Franklin had good things to say in a press conference recently. He's actually, I think, roommates with Sean Clifford as well on campus at Penn State. That's the big thing. And when I look at Penn State, they need some play. And by God, they need a running game. With Noah Kane transferring to LSU, it looks like Kevon Lee is going to be the main guy. Are they going to have a good enough offensive line to create some holes for him? or what's going to be the situation offensively. The big thing is they're going to look to answer the question in spring ball about replacing the production of Jahan Dotson. But man, they need a running game because you're losing a couple of guys, a couple of good guys on defense, including linebacker Ellis Brooks, your leading tackler. So I think your offense is going to need to step up and be that much better. Can they do it? Can they replace the production of Jahan Dotson? That's a big question entering spring football. How about Indiana? This is one of the more intriguing teams in the Big Ten entering spring football. They have recruited really well. They've brought in some transfer, but the big question is at quarterback and who's going to stand out in spring football. Is it going to be transfer from Missouri Connor Bazelak or Donovan McCulley? Donovan McCulley was a freshman last year, a 4-star guy out of the Indianapolis area. Who's going to win that battle? Okay, if it's not McCulley, if Connor Bazelak comes in and he's far and away the quarterback, then who knows if we'll see McCulley back at Indiana next season or what the situation is going forward. Or is there, because McCulley is a little bit more of a mobile guy, is there a 2-quarterback type of situation that they could possibly implement in Bloomington? That's going to be the question in spring football is these 2 quarterbacks, who takes the stronghold, who kind of steps up? Because this is an Indiana team. They've been putting a lot of good pieces together in transfers and in recruiting. This is an Indiana team to watch out for. Okay, we're a long ways away from September, October. We're a long ways away from playing Big Ten football. But Tom Allen knows that his job is potentially on the line, and he's got to come out with a good season. This is an Indiana team to watch out for. Line in the weeds. Maybe games against Michigan State. Maybe games against Penn State. Who knows? Watch out for the Hoosiers. But they got to settle on a quarterback first. Next, Maryland. Can they ID some playmakers in the running game? So here's something to keep an eye on for Maryland. They're going to lose Tayon Fleet-Davis as their top back. They got a couple of guys last year that rushed for under 300 yards. So not a ton of attempts, not a ton of rushes, not a ton of yards for Maryland. They're going to need some balance. Okay, you get Talia Tagovailoa back at quarterback. You bring back your top 2 receivers, Raheem Jarrett and Dante Demas, coming off of an injury that he suffered in that Iowa game, a season-ending injury. But they need to ID some players. Now, I'm not sure off the top of my head. If you guys know, leave your thoughts in the comments below. If Raymond Brown, a 4-star running back, he'll be a true freshman this season. Not sure if he's enrolling early. Not sure if he'll be there in spring ball. But I'll give 2 scenarios. If he's not there in spring practice, are there going to be guys on this current roster that are going to step up high enough where when Raymond Brown does come in, that they're not going to worry about Raymond Brown and they're going to have a guy already? That's going to be a big opportunity for those guys. If Raymond Brown is in spring camp, we want to get a good look at him because this is a 4-star back. This is a talented kid that can really, the 10th ranked running back in the country in this year's class. This is a kid that could possibly come in and make an impact his true freshman season. Is he going to be good enough? Is he going to stand out enough in spring practice to really make an impact and maybe solidify himself as the top running back going into the season? Lastly, I'm going to wrap things up with the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. They're losing. I mean, they weren't a great team to begin with, but they go 5-7 last season, and there's a lot of things to kind of keep an eye on. They lose their top rusher. They lose their top 2 receivers. The quarterback is kind of a logjam situation with 3 guys possibly competing for the job. They got to figure out what they want to do with the skill positions. Right, their skill positions were okay. Bo Melton was okay. Noah Vedral, even though he's coming back, 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last year, they're going to need more out of the quarterback position. Right, you can't trot out that every single year. So whoever it's going to be at quarterback, they got to figure that out. That you need, no question about it. In today's college football, you need guys that can make plays at your skill positions. Right now, they're empty-handed. Right, they got nobody really coming back. Okay, if you don't bring back Noah Vedral, you got nobody coming back. So they got to put new guys in new places. Now, you bring in Taj Harris, the transfer from Syracuse. He was the 5th leading receiver in Syracuse history. That's a big get at the receiver position. He's probably going to step up and be their top guy. But who's going to join him at the quarterback position? Who's going to join him at the running back position? Because if they don't figure it out, Indiana's going to be an improved football team. With some transfers and some good recruits coming in, they could be back at the bottom of the Big Ten East if they don't figure out those skill positions starting in spring practice. I want to hear what you guys think about these questions. Maybe you have the answers to these questions already. I'm always looking forward to some Nostradamuses there in the comments section about these questions entering spring practice. So leave your thoughts in the comments below about everything East Division spring football. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Big Ten content. I'm Big Ten Ted, and we will see you in the next one.